Hello, hello. Welcome again to this fourth episode of my channel, The Two Worlds. And this episode will be an introduction to the third and last theme of this channel, that is evil cults. And fortunately, it took some time it's only three months ago that I made the last episode, so it took some time because I had a lot of things to do. But I'm here again, and I'm happy to make this fourth episode, and it will be an introduction on this third theme, evil cults. So, among the three others, this theme, the first one was new generation nuclear reactors, the second, the great books. This theme now is a bit more complex, difficult, serious, because it talks about something that's evil. So it isn't easy. When you talk about evil, you talk about evil forces that in itself are disturbing. So it isn't easy. And in this first episode, I will try to give some definition of what is an evil cult and how it differentiates from the other ills of society. But to talk about the ills, I think it's important to first define a bit what are the goods of society. What is normal? What do we aspire at? What should be normal? And so, needless to say, this is a big question also, and will be treated in some way in the second theme, the great books. But I don't know when, so I already need some definition right now to continue with this theme of evil cults. So I spontaneously elaborated some definition of what I would like to see in society, to live in society. And I wrote it down. So it's very basic, and I would like to be born and live in first of all, to exist, to be born, and to live in a good environment, have parents that love me, that take care of me, that educate me, give me a lot of good activities. If I get sick, to see a good doctor. Then with time also, I would like to have good friends, brothers and sister friends. And then I would have with time also an education that's a bit more elaborated, go to school, go to have a professional formation, be trained, then have a job, have a nice job that pays enough for me to live comfortably, to pay all the expenses. I would also like to have, when I work, enough free time, because working is stressing. So I would like to have some free time to do also the things I like, to rest, but also to relax, but do hobbies like sports, cultural activities, artistic activities, religious activities, any activity I like. And I would like to live in a place, city and country where there is a certain order, certain peace. Because if it doesn't exist, I can't enjoy a life. So to have this peace, there should be some law system. So you have an educational system that's important, sickness system important, and there is a law system that protects us from people who break the law. So this is important because if I can't live having fear, being afraid, being robbed, it will impact my peace. And this is a bit general, but also I have my personal aspiration. I want to feel free to be able to choose things, what I like, where I want to live, what is my job, what will be my wife or companion. So this ability to choose is very important. There must be a kind of liberty in society also. And I must feel free, because if you are in a type of society where you don't have any choices, it can be painful. It isn't very comfortable. So all these ingredients I talked about, they create some state of happiness where I'm respected, where I'm not disturbed, and where I can live both in a state of peace, external, family, friends, society, but internal, good health, mental health, physical health, also moral health. I have to feel happy, have inside, you know. So a freedom of thought, freedom of what I want to do, I can do it. And I probably forgot some ingredients of happiness because I did this very quickly. I didn't think about a lot of time. But I think all these ingredients are important. If you take one of them away, health away, can you be happy? If you take money away, can you be happy? If you take family, love, can you be happy? If you take peace away, if you have violence in society and everything, can you be happy? No. So I think it's important, all of this. And as I thought about this, I thought about Universal Declaration of Human Rights that was written in 1948. And I found all these articles I just spontaneously made. I found them in these 30 articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And so these ingredients aren't so personal after all. They're universal. For example, in Article 1 of this declaration, it says we are free. Article 3, we have the right to life and security of the person. Article 7, we have the right to the protection of the law. Article 16 talks about the importance of family. Article 17, we have the right to own property. Article 18 talks about freedom of thought and religion. This article, I will use it a bit further on. It's important for our discussion. Article 22 talks about social security, economic and social cultural rights, the development that are important for the development of each personality. Article 23, 1 and 3 talks about the right to work in just and favorable conditions and remuneration. Article 24 talks about right to rest and leisure, also including reasonable limitation of working hours. How can we have leisure, time to rest if we work too much? It's possible. Article 25.1 talks about an adequate standard of living that should cover necessities including food, clothing, housing, medical care, social services, security in the event of unemployment, sickness, disability. Article 25 talks about the importance of motherhood and childhood that are entitled to special care and assistance. So childhood and it's very important. It's more important. Needs more protection. Article 26 talks about, 1 and 2 talks about the importance of education for the full development of human personality. Important. And that we should be able to have elementary, technical, professional, and higher education. Article 27 talks about the free access to cultural life, also scientific activity and progress. And Article 28 finally talks about the importance to live in a society where there is sufficient order, so that our rights and freedoms can be fully realized. So everything I spontaneously thought about is here. I maybe just forgot something that's written in the articles, is that basically we are all equal, because if we are not, some will be happy and others won't. So we need some system where everybody can be happy and where everybody's equal. Nobody can dominate on the other because of some reason, race, culture, force. No, we have to be equal, very important. And by the way, I would like also to say that in Article 29, it talks about our duty should be to work to try to realize and implement all these articles. So we have rights. These rights exist if we, for example, right to medical care. If there aren't hospitals, nurses, doctors, how can we have medical care? So we have the duty to build our rights. If we don't have a protection system, police force, laws, how will we be protected? So we need to construct, for example, education. If we don't have schools, teachers, money to have the schools and pay teachers and everything, how will we get some higher education? If parents also don't take the time to educate their children, to pass time with the children, how will they will be educated? So all of these rights need some work on our parts of society in general. So it is important. Huh? There aren't any rights without duty. So now that I've defined a bit what's good, what we're thriving at, I can better define now what's evil, what's universally evil, because these articles were written by the United Nations, so it's something quite universal of all the nations. So we could define what's universally evil. And also, these articles were written 55 years ago, so it's possible that 55 years some new articles are needed now, but the spirit of it are the same. And if we take again Article 18, that talks about the right to believe, the right to religion, if I read it entirely, everybody has a right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This right includes freedom to change his religion or belief, and freedom, either alone or in community with others and in public or private, to manifest his religion or belief in teaching, practice, worship, and observance. So we have a right to believe, a right to follow something we believe in. For example, I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in the New Testament, so I have the right to believe in that, to read, to practice if I want to go to church. So this is a right. Of course, we don't have to have the right to pervert that. And if I come back to cults, for example, in France there is an organization from the government called MIVILUDES, which stands for Interministerial Mission for Vigilance and Fight Against Sectarian Drifts. Sectarian drifts is the same as evil cults. I will explain a bit later also. And on their webpage, they put down this definition. So an evil cult is a perversion of freedom of thought, opinion, or religion that undermines public order, laws, or regulation, fundamental rights to the safety or integrity of people. So it's a perversion of Article 18. And it's characterized, an evil cult, by the implementation by an organized group or by an isolated individual, whatever its nature or activity, of pressures or techniques aimed at creating, maintaining, or exploiting in a person a state of psychological or physical subjection, depriving him of part of his free will, which has harmful consequences for this person and those around him or for society. So all that's evil, in a way, it's a perversion of one of these articles. And when we talk about evil cults, it's a perversion of this article of our right to believe. And so evil people use the belief system to turn it around and to turn it against us and against society. Because at the end, it said harmful consequences for this person and those around him and for society. I will come back to this internet site of the MIVILUDES. I'll put a link down below, but it's in French, in the future, to help define things, to help better understand things. So I can maybe just say that cult, in English, the word cult is used and it has a negative connotation. In French, cult hasn't any negative connotation. The word uses more sect. Sect, which in English is sect. In English, it doesn't has a negative connotation, but in French it has a bit. And when you look at these terms, for example, cult. Cult is defined as a system or group of people who practice excessive devotion to a figure, object, or belief system, typically following a charismatic leader. So the term is commonly connected with highly unorthodox religious sects, so sect is used here, that take part in sinister practices and demonstrations. When we look, for example, the word sect, it's a group of people with somewhat different religious beliefs, typically regarded as heretical, from those of a larger group to which they belong. So this definition, this English definition, isn't bad, because they believe in something different. Everybody has a right to believe in something different. But in French, it has some negative connotation. So I can add to that, for example, the etymology of sect comes from the Latin seci, to follow, but also it could come from a word secare, which means cut off. So the followers, often they follow a guru, a charismatic leader, and they cut themselves off from their original environment or society. I could add that followers follow their guru by what the later initially says or has said, by a doctrine the later has developed, and by what the leaders, the guru's accomplices say. In this act of following, you gradually separate the followers, those who believe in this doctrine and way of life, from those who do not believe in it, who do not adhere to this group. So if you excessively follow some leader, you cut yourself off of the rest of the people who don't believe in this. But to go further in this analysis, I have to talk about an example, and this I will do in the next episode of this theme, which will be called EV2, Evil Cults 2. And the first example I chose to be Adolf Hitler and all that his movement he created, and the chaos, the war, the sufferance. Why Adolf Hitler? Because as I defined what's the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, they were written in 1948 in reaction to all that happened during this war, all that was caused by Hitler. So it is interesting to look what in Hitler, what is a evil cult in what all that he created. And so it's also an example that's very famous, everybody can understand, have heard of it. And I think this could in some way be the basis of what a cult is. Something that's easily to understand. But I won't go in much detail, because I won't go in much detail of the war, because this could take years and years. It's a lot. But I will talk about the cult-like aspect of what Hitler put in place. So thank you for listening. It was a bit long this time. Next time I will dive into examples and to try to explain what evil cult is, and how we can protect ourselves from it. How society also can what society can do to protect itself, and we don't want to lose all these human rights articles. We want to live them. We want to be happy. We want to have peace. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.